Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of Team ICP, I do just a minute.
Don't solve it.
On behalf of Team ICP, I would like to welcome you all for the third session of the day. It's my great privilege to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Anaga Zoshimam. Dr. Anaga Zoshi has completed her PhD in Pharmaceutical Sciences from Bharati Vidyapeeth University, Pune. She has an illustrious career of 23 years and currently she is working as principal and professor in Sri Chanakya Education Society's Indira College of Pharmacy, Pune, and Director Quality Assurance in IGI. Dr. Anaga Zoshi has keen interest in development of novel and cost-effective analytical methods for the estimation of APIs and standardization of formulations. She has worked on different collaborative projects with pharma industry and funded research projects. She has numerous research publications, authored 2 textbooks, and has filed a patent application. In addition, she has delivered numerous seminars in various conferences covering formulation development, research and development, as well as the administration and governance of academic institutions and quality assurance in academic institutions. She has also designed modules on mental and physical health and career opportunities for the Girl Child Empowerment program called Vishruti. She has actively participated and led different social activities and is recipient of Adarsh Samaj Bhushan Puraskar. She has been rewarded by Best Principal Pharmacy Education Awards sponsored by ABP News in National Education Awards 2017. Under her leadership, Sri Chanakya Education Society's Indira College of Pharmacy has been accredited by NEC in B++ grade, and ICP is rewarded with platinum rank in AICT survey in Best Industry Linked Institutes. The college has received various awards like Best Institute in Pharmacy Award in 9th Innovative Education Awards. With this brief introduction, I would like to request Dr. Anaga Zoshi ma'am to begin the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Amruta, for
Thank you, ma'am.
is my screen visible?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Now is it visible?
Yes, ma'am. Yes.
Presentation. Okay, thanks for this introduction, and good afternoon, everyone. And just a minute. Direct slides. Am I audible now?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
My screen is visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So good afternoon, everyone, and a welcome to you after lunch session. So you all must be actually feeling little lethargic after the 2 sessions in the morning by the stalwarts in education. And Now we will have this session on institutional belongingness and contribution in institutional development. So all the teachers, please try to be with me, because I will ask you to solve something, being a teacher myself, in the presentation itself. Okay. So since yesterday we have been discussing and deliberating on how the role of teacher is evolved, from the teaching learning only to academic administrator and now to researcher, how the teacher's role is continuously evolving. And in my opening address only, I have told that we have to further evolve as a mentors and set a different mentoring benchmark for ourselves, which will be useful for our students. So to actually, we have been hearing that teacher is playing the most pivotal role in education system worldwide. And in the morning, Dr. N.K. Jain sir has shown us that how proud we are, we feel that we are teachers. But nowadays, because of the number of educational institutes are increasing, and new people are coming in teachers, in teaching profession. Most of the times, what I have seen in my career of last 28 years, that induction program to teachers is utmost necessary. Now this topic of today is why I have chosen is institutional belongingness and contribution in institutional development, because most of the times individual teacher, if the teacher is not having the sense of belongingness to the institution, then the institutional, he cannot contribute, he or she, to the institutional growth, to the self growth, and naturally he cannot give 100% to the students also, so which hampers the academic performance of the students. So what is institutional belongingness basically? So institutional belongingness is the extent to which individuals feel like valued, accepted, respected, and legitimate members in their team, and how integrated and coherent the individual is to his or her institution, which is very important, because all of till we have that feeling of we are a part of the institute, we are part of the team, no teacher can work towards achievement of the next goal. So what is the mindset at the entry point? In the morning, we have seen that are we there by choice or by, just a minute, give me. So you can see that even I am learning some technical hitches about presentation and presenting. So as we have seen the institutional belongingness, so mindness at the end, what is the mindset at the entry point? As Dr. Jain has told in the morning, have we entered the profession by choice or by chance? Okay, that decides our mindset at the entry point. So what usually a new person, what is the entry point? Either the person joins the teaching immediately after post-graduation, or due to the horizontal or vertical growth perspective, because of the person feels that he is having better perspective in some other institution or in some other role. So usually immediately when a teacher joins institution, he feels where I have come, what I have chosen is right or wrong, whether I'm prepared to do this job, which way I should communicate, whom I should look upon as my mentor, whether I will be accepted by students, whether I will be accepted by my peers and team. Will students attend my lectures? Will I be able to give justice to my job? Whether I'm sufficiently prepared for the lecture, once the teacher settles down, so after a few months, the mindset changes. And then the teacher starts thinking that why should I work beyond my lectures and practicals? What all are exactly my responsibilities? Somebody comes and tells me to take lectures and practicals without any hindrance. Somebody tells me to prepare for one committee. Somebody asks me to arrange one session of guest session. Somebody asks me to prepare the team for extracurricular activities. So what are all my responsibilities? Which resources I should use for enhancing effectiveness of my classes? What different ways I can use for effective classroom management? Which skills I need to learn, what activities I am really liking, what are my rights. This also the teacher starts thinking after he settles down for some time, because responsibilities everybody tells, but then the teacher feels that what is going to be my accountability and what are my rights. Okay, but once the teacher is settled with some amount of some perspectives in his mind, the teacher gets settled. But once he settles and once he understands his own capacity, or as told by Jain sir in the morning, self-efficacy, then the thinking changes. So the thinking changes as in, how can I engage students in more effective ways? How can I plan more activities? How can I give more extra inputs to the students to make my teaching very effective? How can I inculcate research culture in myself and then translate it to my students? How can I effectively manage my time for teaching, research, and other activities? We have seen earlier lecture of Dr. Nagarsankar ma'am, who has told us to balance in these activities. But for the new people who are just teaching for 2-3 years, they all feel these emotions. Okay, so please mind well, when this W, that means when, what, why, it will be replaced by H, that is how I can do this. And when me will be replaced by V, the institutional belongingness will increase and you will grow with the institution. So how to introspect where you will you feel belongingness or not. So as sir has told us that we have to travel a journey from I want to I did it. So this particular is a Google form which will be put in your chat room, and I want you to open the form and fill there in there itself, so that we will see that how we can introspect ourselves. No answer is right and wrong. Don't give a much deeper thought to what I'm asking for. Just what comes to your mind immediately once this question is arising, I want to check out. Okay, so please be true to yourself, and this link is being given to you in chat now, and please start. Once you open, just raise your hand and we will start solving it. All of you are able to see the link?
Yes, ma'am, it's opening.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let us go by first question, like the questions. You have to write either yes or no. Do I trust my senior teachers who are telling me work every now and then? Do I follow instructions given by principals and HODs? Do I really know and understand vision and mission of my institute? Do I have freedom to take certain decisions regarding syllabus or activity planning, execution, choice of pedagogy? Are you all with me?
Recording in progress.
Do I plan my syllabus delivery taking into consideration outcomes to be achieved? Usually we are expected to plan what are the outcomes, and then we plan the syllabus delivery, right? Do I evaluate myself for attainment of outcomes? That means whatever outcomes we have only defined, do I evaluate that whether I have attended them or not? Do I know the social responsibility as a teacher? I think you all should give a thought to this, that what is our social responsibility as well. Do I take initiative for various co-curricular or extracurricular activities? I'm talking about initiative. to plan the activity on your own? Is my opinion asked by colleagues? Are my inputs taken into consideration? Do I respect others' efforts and work? Because we always feel that I'm overburdened and the other person is sitting idle. Do I criticize others often or compare yourself with others often? Do I judge other colleagues or even students and behave with them accordingly? Do I take pride in representing your institute, my institute outside? Are my achievements recognized or acknowledged by my institution? Am I aware about my responsibilities and accountability? Do I follow work or research ethics? Do I feel motivated to take initiatives and to shoulder new responsibilities? Have I contributed to my institute's achievements or accreditations? Do I feel happy? The most important and last question is, do I feel happy to go to my institute every morning? So can we see the responses here? Just a minute, I will share another screen now. So only 24 people, 25 people have given the responses. I think we will come to this little more because few people are even filling right now also. Okay, so by the time you all feel this, let me take you ahead. Now, whatever the reason of responses or whatever you have filled in, it is as per your own perception of like how you are behaving or how you are thinking that you are placed in your team or how you are placed in front of students. Okay, now there are many aspects why you feel that that either you are neglected or you are valued or you are not valued or you are respected or all these questions which I ask you specifically. What happens is we come with certain expectation, and when these expectations are not met or when some adversities do come, we are really afraid, and the entire you within yourself we change, and then naturally that hampers our performance either in positive or a negative way. So I'll just quickly take you through a different presentation, that are you a carrot, egg or coffee bean? Okay, so once one young mother, she comes to her mother and says that I'm always burdened by some or the other thing. When I think that first task is achieved, a new one arises, and I'm really like fed up of this and I want to give up. So what her mother does is, her mother says, "Ki child, don't worry." She doesn't say anything, but she just take 3 such pots, okay, and put some water in it and keeps it for boiling. So what happens is, in the first pot, she keeps carrots. In the second pot, she keeps eggs. And in the third pot, she adds coffee beans. So her what happens is, her mother says that now after the specific time of 20 minutes, after putting the ingredients for boiling, she asked the daughter to take the carrots out, to take the eggs out. Okay, so after what happens is, the carrot which is gone inside, it has become soft. Okay. For eggs, after pulling off the shell, she observed that hard boiled egg, because as you know that egg has a thin covering, but it is liquid from inside. But when put in water, we found is hard boiled egg. And finally, the mother asked the daughter to sip up the coffee. So the daughter smiles as she tastes the richness and savored the aroma of coffee. So she asks her mother, what does it mean, mom? So then the mom says, see, you consider this boiling water as the adversity. Okay. So when adversities were presented, or they come across when one comes across the adversity, each of the things which we have put in, it reacted differently. The carrots which went inside strong, when subjected to boiling water, they softened and they became weak. The eggs went inside with the liquid inside and a covering, but after sitting through the boiling water, its inside became hardened. What happened to coffee beans? Actually, when coffee beans were put to the adversities, they changed the adversity itself. They had changed the water. So which are you when adversity knocks on your door? How do you respond? Are you a carrot, an egg, or coffee bean? Think that when a person is apparently strong, but with pain and adversity, do you wilt and become soft and lose your strength? Or are you like egg? Did you have a fluid spirit, but after a death, a breakup, a financial hardship, or some other trial, or some arguments, have you become hardened and stiff? Does your shell look what it is intact from outside, but within you, have you changed? Have you become bitter, tough with a stiff spirit, and have you hardened? Or you are like coffee bean, that when hot water is added to coffee beans, the coffee beans actually releases the fragrance and flavor. So if you are like bean, when things are at the worst, you get even better and change the situation around. So when your adversities are given to you, how you will react? Will you react like a carrot, egg, or coffee bean? Okay. See, things are difficult when you enter the like, you feel that how you will reach at the pinnacle, how you will achieve something. Okay. You should have enough hope to be happy. But when you reach at that, or when some adversities come, do you leave this hope, lose this hope? Okay. So please remember, I will not be reading everything. But what I say is like coffee, when you will get adjusted and you will add your flavor to the adversity, no, you will come out of that comfort zone, you will struggle, and then you will achieve everything. So please remember that you will not have negative thoughts that bring down your spirit, because you are happy with what you have. So you should be grateful enough for what you have. Okay. So it is said that when when our birth takes place, you are the only person who are crying and the others are smiling, and vice versa when we die. Okay. So you don't even ask this question that what adversities, how they should be affecting. The period in between our birth and death, how you will utilize it properly, how you will be grateful for what you have, and how you will give it back to the society. In our case, it is students. It makes a lot of difference. Okay. So whenever any adversity will come, please remember this example. Ask yourself whether you are a carrot, you are egg, or you are a coffee bean. Okay. So this is what I wanted to leave you with this message. Now, when it comes to the role of your contribution in institutional development. Okay. Now, when we speak about now till this point, we have come very well to the point where we have assessed ourselves, what we really like, what we don't like. No, which roles we are expected to do. After you now are aware of actually what happens. So now once you are established yourself as a teacher, now we should understand well that what is our role in development. Okay, so there are different parameters. The first and foremost important why you are employed is teaching and learning. Okay, now in teaching and learning, what you should have is strong basics, keeping abreast with the syllabus, use of right resources, use of appropriate pedagogies, effective translation of knowledge into wisdom, knowledge and wisdom, effective translation of information into knowledge and wisdom. Okay, motivating students for optimum library utilization. Most of us, we forget to motivate the students for effective library utilization. Okay, so those resources are there, students are unaware of that, even faculties are unaware of that, and the resources are not being optimally utilized. Then how we plan extra inputs for weaker students, and how at the same time how we plan extra inputs for advanced learners. So in this teaching and learning, this is the way how you can improvise yourself, how you have to contribute yourself, because this is ultimately going to lead to the development of the institution. Okay, then we will see about research and development. Okay, now in research and development, you can just go through the slides, but I will definitely tell you that what is expected. Yeah, just a minute, I'm resharing things. Yeah. So as I told you, then in academics, in teaching learning processes, right from accurately planning your lectures and right from effectively executing them, understanding what you want the students to understand, what information you will convert them into the knowledge. All these things should be meticulously planned. As sir has told us in the morning also, how you will motivate the students to learn, how you will motivate the students to absorb more, and how you will plan things for the weaker students and to the advanced learners. If you can plan this, you can say that you have contributed 100% to the teaching learning processes. Next role, if you will see, is the role of academic administrator. Now, when you are academic administrator, the role is actually what? That you have to document what everything you will be doing. You know that it is said that what is not documented is not done. Okay, so you become the part of the different IQAC committees or working committees in the college. Okay, most of the institutions are now going for NAC accreditations or NBA accreditations, and when you are going for that, you know that you have to take care of particular events happening in the college. So that is nothing but the academic administration. You should know what are your regulatory bodies, how you are complying for that, how you are documenting everything, whatever you are doing. And so instead of having a mindset that why I am asked to make arrange meetings, write the minutes of the meetings, why I have to arrange guest lectures and FDPs, why I have to attend FDPs, why a teacher is asking me to go for Swayam or MOOCs. You know, this academic administration is very important, and you have to, when you will do and give justice to everything, you will actually contribute 100% to the academic administration. Next, if you will consider your contribution for research and development. In research and development also, please remember that everybody will not have a knack for going for research or for literature reviews, right? So when everybody is not having the knack for literature reviews, or you should start, the new teacher should start with literature review, have a good review articles, and then the most important part is what you read, what knowledge you are inquiring, you should be effectively telling to the students, you should be effectively communicating it with the students that what is research, how to go about it. Many when I generally ask a teacher to write a research proposal, it is not possible for that teacher. Mind well, we all are people whom we also need some guidance or mentorship for going for certain research proposals. So the more you will read, the more you will keep abreast with the research journals, then that will start your contribution in research and development. As Nagarsenkar madam has told earlier, that a teacher's 60% duties goes in research and development, and then the next duty is around 20% in teaching and 20% is servicing, which I told you as academic administration. Now, when this happens, that you are concentrating 60% on teaching and then remaining for 20% on servicing and research. So naturally, you have to take a small step at one time and go ahead. Now, when you take a small step at one time, you can start from a good literature. You know your choice of interest. First, understand that because world is doing XYZ, you need not do the same. You should not follow the path of your colleagues or peers. Each of you have your inclination. You know what you like, what is your basic research acumen, and accordingly you plan your research. Do literature survey, arrange journal clubs for students wherein they will understand what are the journals to be referred. Okay, then you can actually write down what you want to do. That is a plan of work. This is I'm telling for the new teachers. Once you understand what is the plan of work and you will plan the work, and you know what end you want to achieve. So you will have to break your complete work into small portions, as in you are giving small experiments to the students. Now, when this starts, I'm just telling not to the senior teachers, but to the junior teachers how to go ahead with the research planning. Now, once that is achieved and you start getting the results of the experiment, now there are so many tools, statistical analysis tools are available. While if it is a formulation development project or even analytical development, you can imbibe the QBD approach in that. Okay, then you can use the tools and you can actually define precisely what outcome you have achieved of the research. And as the most important part next to it, suppose it should not be a me too research. If something is some formulation you have done, some new analytical method you have developed, some new activity you have done in experimental pharmacology, some new extraction method, and then the analytical method and activities you have planned. So what you have to do is document every small step in that, add the statistical tools and that outcome. If it's a new product, you should further approach the industries so that we can understand that whether this is a translational, whether you can upgrade the technology from the laboratory scale to the mega scale. Okay, once this is achieved, when industry accepts your research, that is a worthwhile research. So in between, if it's an innovation, you can go for patent filing. So I know that this is what I'm saying is in 4 minutes, but actually to achieve this, it takes minimum 20 years to come out with a translational product or to come out with a patent. But nevertheless, if we plan at this level, then within our career, we can come out with such research products which are useful to the society, okay, which are useful to the academic fraternity, which is also involved in research. So teachers, please don't consider that teaching is different and we are only teachers and research is not my cup of tea. We all are informed people, and yes, research is our cup of tea. When to approach and how to do that is left to you, because you have to balance teaching and you have to balance your other responsibilities back at home, and you have to give that much time, because if you won't give time to all these activities, naturally this is not possible. And so for all this, what is necessary is your sincerity, honesty, integrity, and most important thing is your passion. Okay, so these things, when we say that these are the things which will lead to your contribution in research and development. So till now I have told you about 3 things: teaching, learning, academic administration, and okay, thanks my colleagues for bringing the presentation back. We have spoken about academic administration, we have spoken about research and development. So now we can switch to holistic development of students. This is the another pillar which is very important. Okay. If you are a good researcher, but you are not a good teacher, it won't help. Okay. If you are a very good teacher, but you are not believing only in the fact that the students' development should be from all the angles, then again it is of no use. Okay. So we have to balance, and we are committed for the overall development of a student. So for the holistic development of students, you need to arrange various sessions, activities. You have to motivate students to take part in extracurricular activities, sports, and the most important part, as I've told you, mentorship. Because all the students are not that vocal, or they will approach the teachers and ask for some help. It's the duty of the teachers to observe the students, understand from the behavior. Only you can understand that whether the student is undergoing some stress, whether the student is not mentally present in the class. That is all a teacher only can understand. And if you have to, because as I told you, the carrots, eggs, and coffee, all these mentalities are present in our student fraternity also. It's not only that we can be classified in these things. So a teacher is the only person who will identify whether our student is a carrot, is an egg, or is a coffee bean. And you have to mentor the student accordingly to achieve the student's goals. So this is how this is the pillar where the holistic development of the students also teacher is responsible for. Teachers has to take the mentorship. Remember that this mentorship only not when you are in the class. I always ask my faculty to do it in the whichever way they want. They can sit on the lawns, they can take them students for a trek, but have a discussion. That is more important, because when what happens, the shy students, they don't speak up. Some students, they are so afraid of the complete new set of learning and teaching. Till 12th they are studying from the small books, but when they come for professional courses, naturally their expanse of studies is different and the students get demotivated. So it's a teacher's responsibility also that to give all the inputs to the student, necessary inputs to the students. It varies from students to students, so mentorship is very important. Okay. Next, you can say that next point, which is very important, is the social outreach programs. What do you mean by social outreach programs? Is are you taking the students out to understand? There are usually NSS activities with every university. These NSS activities, they are actually for students to understand the life in rural areas, to understand their problems in rural areas, and these students should understand them. Those activities, they should be sensitized so that they don't take the things as granted. They remain rooted, and the most important thing is they try to find out the solutions over that. Nowadays, various hackathons are arranged for solving a problem. But in social outreach, we are mainly reaching to society to make them understand various aspects of drugs, pharmaceuticals, how drugs should be taken, how expiry date should be checked, when the drug should be stored, and so on. Okay, so these social outreach programs like blood donation camps are there. Then even teaching to the underprivileged students in the society, the basic scientific principles is another form of social outreach programs, and a teacher should be committed to this as well. Next slide, please. Now, when you understand your contribution or your role in towards the institutional development, please mind well that your own development cannot be only yours. It cannot go singly. It has to go with others. So when your peers when you are with your peers, your team, and where your institution will grow, along with that only your growth will take place. Please understand, here I am not saying the growth only in quantitative manner. We cannot have the mindset that only quantitative. Today I am assistant professor, tomorrow I am associate, and after that I am professor. But are we understanding what we are going to deliver and what differentiators we are going to add when I am from assistant professor to associate professor and from associate professor to professor? Please do understand that. And for understanding that, the qualitative understanding of that, you have to understand that you have to have the growth mindset and not the fixed mindset. Now, this I cannot tell that you are having such mindset. Again, it's an introspection. Okay. So what usually, as I said, that you can see that in fixed mindset, the people usually avoid challenges, whereas in growth mindset, they view challenges as opportunities. Okay. In fixed mindset, usually people shy away from things you don't know. But in growth mindset, people acknowledge and embrace your weakness. They understand that, okay, this is my weakness and how I'm going to overcome that. People with fixed mindset, usually they are unable to handle criticism or feedback. But people with growth mindset, they learn to give and receive constructive criticism. Teachers, please understand, when you are criticized or when you do criticism, it should not be related to a personal trait. You can criticize the work in a positive way, and similarly you have to learn to receive also, to take the criticism in a positive way, so that your growth will take place. In people with fixed mindset, they strongly believe that intelligence and talent is static and does not develop post birth. But in this case, with growth mindset, they feel that it is not static, it is dynamic, and it is ever improving. No, so you have to improve yourself, and this is possible. It cannot be static. Okay. With people with fixed mindset, they do not carry out any actions without seeking approval, because they always feel that if something goes wrong, I should not be held responsible. Somebody else should, I should be able to point out to. But then people with growth mindset, they prioritize learning over seeking approval. Approvals have to be sought whenever necessary, but not at every stage. You can start the things. We always say that who can go wrong? One who starts and one who is doing something. People who don't do anything, that they can't go wrong, right? Also, fixed mindset, you will try to prove yourself. Always, you will try to prove yourself. But people will, growth mindset, they will focus on the process instead of the end result. They will say, okay, this is the process I have to follow. The end will be assured, as we say in quality assurance, right? That we are putting everything so well that the quality of this product is assured. People with fixed mindset, they are always threatened by the success of others. Whereas people with growth mindset, they are inspired by the success of others. They will say, okay, this can be achieved. So that means this is doable. Then they will evaluate how they can do it, and then they will do it. Okay. Fixed mindset people, they always think that the effort is not regarded fruitful. Okay. But people with growth mindset, they will think that understanding failure is important. They will understand it, and they will use that as an opportunity to grow. They will convert their weakness into a strong point, and then they will grow. So people with fixed mindset, they give up easily, and people with growth mindset, they will they think that whatever setbacks, whatever things will be achieved, they will keep on going. They will be sustainable. They will keep on walking, and one day they will achieve what they want. Okay. So please understand this slide very particularly. In last 28 years of my teaching experience, only once I have met a person when feedback, usually we share the feedback from the students to the teacher. And it is usually a very both-sided discussion, wherein a principal tells or a HOD tells the teacher that what are the areas of improvement and what is expected. But only one example, of course, I won't name the person, but that person has said that means, ma'am, I'm so intelligent. And do you think that the students who don't know anything, they can judge me? Can they give me marks? And so that is a clear example of people with fixed mindset. Others, I have seen examples of when the feedback is shared, people have actually worked on that and they have overcome their shyness or other problems or confidence, and they move ahead. So please be people with growth mindset. And actually, two things you should remember: that what you will feel that, after the end of, after when your career as, or you're settled as a teacher, you are satisfied with your performance. What we think, or at the entry point also, every teacher should introspect and think that how I want my students to remember me. How I want, whether my student should remember me as only a jolly person without knowledge, as a person with a strong basics and a very good teacher with good research mindset, or a person who is really responsible for my personal growth. How you want students to remember you? Or a student should say you, this teacher is very average, and you should just say whatever is written in the textbook and go. How you want at the same time your institute or your team to remember you? If you think about how you want yourself to be remembered as a teacher to from your by your students or by your team members, or you can say by your peers, and if you know that answer, if you can define that answer very well, you can set that as your goal, and you can work towards the growth or development of your own self and your institutional development. If each of the person in the team, it works with the same goal and works wholeheartedly as a team, then institutional development is possible, and then the development of individual automatically happens with this. Okay, so as I told you, I will like to share the results of the institutional belongingness. So now we have got 53 responses for that. So with the point out of 20 points, average is 18.26, median is 19, and range is 11 to 20 points. So out of the people who have solved this, I'm very happy that most of you feel that you are you have institutional belongingness in you, or some are there, and I appreciate them who have really written what they really feel. So to those people who are scoring between 10 to, you can say, 15, for them, please understand whether you are a carrot, you are an egg, or a coffee bean, and you decide what you want to be. You decide how you should be remembered by your students and your team and your institution. And once you know this, you will not take more than a week also. When your mindset will change to growth mindset, for you, you will travel from this 10 to 18 very smoothly and very quickly. Okay. So this was my take, and I'm very proud to give you example of my own team. We started with a single course, that is BPharm course with 60 intake in the year 2006. Then in 2011, we added MPharm Pharmaceutics. Our team grew. We added MPharm Quality Assurance and MPharm Pharmacology. But because of the problems of the admissions, we had to close down MPharm Pharmacology and MPharm Quality Assurance in the year 2013, which was a setback, and we all introspected and we worked towards it. We added a new course, that is PharmD course. We were the first institute under University of Pune to launch this PharmD course. We got immense response. Our students, the first batch who is passing out now, already the 50% of batch is placed, though they will be completing their 6th-year internship. And then we introduced PharmD post-baccalaureate. We restarted our PharmD quality assurance, MPharm quality assurance program. We started diploma in pharmacy program, and then we got approval for PhD center, and now we have 5 PhD guides who are approved, and few students will start, enrolling for PhD. Now, why I'm telling this, because you know that the older people will understand that there was a rough waters. We were in rough waters during 2009 to 2011. But because of the wholehearted efforts of my team, only we can do this. And as the institution grew, I'm 100% sure, and all my team will agree, that they have also grown themselves. And I'm sure that in future, we will be able to achieve, and we want our students to remember us in a very good way as the education facilitators and they will think somewhere that we have contributed in their development, total development, as well as their development of their careers. And this all goes to my team. My entire team wants themselves to be remembered like this. So right now also I was completely goofed up in the presentation part, but side by side, without my knowledge also, my team worked for that, and they saw to it that what I wanted to communicate is communicated. And I'm totally indebted to my team for that. And I wish all the teachers here who have joined either by choice or by chance, whatever. But now, since you have joined teaching, understand your responsibilities very well, understand your accountability very well, see what important responsibility you have shouldered, to actually contributing in somebody's development professionally as well as personally. And if you your team batch of 60 students pass out with this professional and personal commitment, see how you are contributing to the development of society as well. So be proud to be a teacher, and have the right mindset and walk together, and then sky is the limit for us. And one day will come where in India also industries will come to you to seek guidance for solving their problem, because they will think that your team is also strong. And that days will come to us very soon, once all the teams of all the pharmacy colleges will work coherently. Okay, with that I conclude with my session, and thanks for the patient listening.
Thank you, ma'am. Good afternoon, all. It was indeed an inspiring, informative, and interactive session, ma'am. Your thoughts have really enlightened our mind and shown us a new path. Ma'am, it was quite a learning session for us. I express my sincere thanks to Dr. Anaga Zoshi for giving the excellent coverage over the institutional belongingness and contribution to the institutional development. Ma'am, you have reminded us for the roles and responsibilities that we are having as a teachers towards our students. You have pointed towards the new teaching learning aspects, different aspects of the teaching, how we should be at the self-growth, and when we are leading to the self-growth, side by side, the institute has to grow, and then the nation will be growing. You have also pointed about that we should, me or myself or I should be replaced by we. And here I want to take this opportunity that here at ICP, we are working together. It is a team spirit. So I just want to congratulate everyone, every ICP and whoever is working towards, and we are very much lucky, ma'am, to have you as a mentor. Thank you so much, ma'am. So we will surely, from all the delegates who are here present, all the teacher fraternity, I take this opportunity also to tell you that we will surely be behave like a coffee beans. Sure, ma'am. We promise over here that we will be coffee beans, and we will actually view whatever the challenge will be coming towards with a growth mindset. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you so much for such an encouraging and enlightening talk. So on behalf of Team ICP, I would like to felicitate Dr. Anaga Zoshi, ma'am. Yes, ma'am, with your permission, can we start with the question answer session?
Yes.
Yeah. So those who feel, you can just ask the questions if you want to ask the questions, I'm sure. Yes, delegates, if you are having any questions, you can just ask the questions.
I think we can go for the next session. Parisza
Yes.
must have joined.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. So I conclude the session over here. Stay happy, stay connected. We'll be starting the new session with a while. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Very good afternoon, Parisza ma'am.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Yeah.
And thank you so much for inviting me.
Ma'am, it's a great pleasure to have you again on the campus, though this time on the virtual mode.
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon. Nice seeing all of you all.
Yes.
Same here, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay, shall we start the session, ma'am?
Yes, Pallavi, please.
Hello, everyone. Very good afternoon to one and all. I, Pallavi Chauhan, welcome you all to the last session of the day. I feel honored to introduce our next speaker, Dr. Parisza Dalchidana. Dr. Parisza Dalchidana is PhD in Pharmaceutical Sciences with additional qualifications in Quality Management Systems, Business Management, and Computer Science. She has experience of over 3.5 decades in pharma industry, starting with product development up to commercialization for global markets. He has handled greenfield projects as managing director and CEO for foreign investors in India and has managed a startup in UAE as CTO. She moved back to India post completion of the commitments in Dubai and joined ACG as Principal Technical Consultant Pharma from May 2019. She has few patents and research publications to her credit and is an invited speaker at various national and international seminars and symposia. Throughout industrial career, she remained close to academics. She is an honorary visiting faculty, PhD guide, examiner for MPharm and PhD, and is on technical advisory board of various colleges in India, Dubai, and SciTech Center. She is also president of Control Release Society Indian chapter and co-chair of AAPS Western India chapter Mumbai discussion group. She is an ex-student of Bombay College of Pharmacy and is currently the president of BCP Alumni Association. With this brief introduction, I request Parisza ma'am to please take over the session. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for your introduction. If I may share my screen. Is my slide deck visible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So I was privileged to be present for the previous lecture, and I found that quite a few things which I would be talking about, industry expectations from academia, were somewhat covered. And I was very happy to note that this same points which industry is currently talking about are being even discussed in academic sessions. So currently, coming to my first slide, what are the expectations from industry and what exactly are we talking about? Is there a gap between the expectations that industry is perceiving and the academia is delivering? Do these gaps really exist? And if yes, I think it's high time we establish an agenda that satisfies both industry and academic requirements. So we need to find a right fit between the industry and the academia. And this is especially possible mainly for professional courses like our B Pharmacy course, M Pharmacy course, where academia and industry do share a symbiotic relationship. Academia, we know, will produce graduates, postgraduates, doctorates, and these are the people who will be absorbed in the industry. So industry is looking for something more than just academic learning. Research work in universities are taken up by industry and turned into products and services. So industry demands need to be taken into consideration when academic research is picked up. Industry, on the other hand, looks to academia for solutions to their concerns. And many a times you must have seen industry giving out projects to academia, maybe some short-term projects or some even long-term projects, where they don't have enough infrastructure to bring up the solutions at their end, they look for expertise from academics. Industry would like universities to tailor their courses to turn out graduates whose skill set are aligned to the industry requirement and not just learning for the sake of learning, which again, I do see quite a bit being introduced in the new syllabus, which has been set across, a pan-India syllabus set across, and many colleges are imbibing to that syllabus. And often new research topics arise out of interaction between the industry and the academia. And this is something which we have seen even in the past, and this leads to benefit for both of them. So what exactly are the expectations from the industry? Industry feels that academia mainly deals with theory. Yes, we do have practicals being conducted to a certain extent, but are those practicals really in tune with the industry requirement? This is something which we need to think about. Are the documentations done in the right manner? And I did hear the need for the right type of documentation in the previous session. It's not just the right documentation, it is even the way the documents are created. Each document, when created, needs to be signed and dated. This is a must in industry. Any document which is not signed and undated is not acceptable. Secondly, a simple thing like pagination. If a document is a 15-page document, then we must see to it that we start with pagination 1 of 15, 2 of 15, 3 of 15, so that you exactly know where the numberings are missed out. These are very simple things, but these are expectations. If you don't do them, once again, the documentation loses validity. Coming to data management, very, very important in today's day. We generate a lot of data in industry, and it's almost joke every time that industry is generating more data than the actual products that they manufacture. You know why? Because if I'm manufacturing a tablet batch, say of 5 million, the amount of documentation that I do for that particular batch in terms of dispensing of material, manufacture, analysis, release, testing, etc., 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 it's huge. How do we manage the data? Current times are good because we are into e-documentation. We can put the data into cloud and we can still hold that data. But what are we doing with that data? It just remains idle. That's not the case. We need to evaluate and come up with information and knowledge from that data. So which I will pick up a bit later when I come to data analytics. Next is technological advancement. Industry feels that they advance. Now, in order to bridge this, one has to have a collaboration between industry and academia to see to it that whatever technology industry is coming up with, academia can also imbibe. On the other hand, if academia wants to evolve on technology, yes, you may not have those machines, you may not have those technological advancements in your college, but what you can do is you can go out and reach out to the companies who are having these technological advancements and invite those companies to come and give a lecture to your students on those newer and newer technologies. Show them pictures, show them videos. Currently, like even virtual demonstration of equipments is possible. So all these things can be done, and I think students will benefit in a very big way. Infrastructural availability, yes, we are aware that many of the colleges don't have the required infrastructure the way the industry is expecting. But once again, we can have a collaboration with industry and have students going out either for some training or maybe even an industrial visit would be possible, wherein they can get a preview into what is the current and the latest infrastructure which is there in the industry. Next point is QA, QMS. QA is quality assurance, quality management system, and RBA, risk-based analysis. QA, yes, I mean, I was like almost at a loss of words when I heard that the QA session or the empowerment QA was almost disbanded, but then I was so happy when I heard that, yes, it's put back in place. QA is a must. QA is a backbone of any pharma industry. QA training is a must, irrespective of whichever department you are in. That's substantiated with the quality management systems. And finally, the risk-based analysis, because in pharma, all decisions that we take are supposed to be based on the risk involved around that particular decision taken. So this again is a very, very important area which industry expects the academia to be aware of. Next, coming to regulatory sciences. There are many colleges who have started MPharm in regulatory affairs. I think that's a good move because regulations throughout the world are so different. And one cannot teach at the graduation level all the various regulatory requirements. It has to be at a postgraduate level or maybe some additional diploma or a degree course or even a certification course in regulatory sciences where regulatory aspects of different countries are being taught, what each country is expecting is being trained, and how actually submissions are being made. That is being made aware to the students. Now, that's not the end of it. Post submission every year for each and every product that you manufacture in your particular facility, you are expected to provide an update to each and every regulatory agency involved called an annual update. And that itself is a big, big exercise, which many of the students are not aware. They feel that the submission is done and it's all over. You just have question answers coming in, you respond to the queries, you get the approval and you're done. No, it's an annual affair that you have with the regulatory affair. So this is what is very, very important. Coming next to validation and calibration, once again, a very, very important aspect. Each and everything in pharma has to be validated, whether it be equipments, whether it be computers, whether it be software, even to the extent that the employees are validated to the training and the evaluation of the training that is given to them. So this is the extent to which validation is required, and any data that is produced out of a system which is non-validated is not acceptable. So validation plays a key role, especially when you are looking at startups, putting in new instruments, new equipments, and it doesn't end at that. Many a times we feel, okay, we are validated, we have got the required data, everything is in place, it's done. No, sorry. There is something called as revalidation, requalification, recalibration. It's very important that this is an ongoing process. And when do you revalidate? That time period also has to be validated. I can't just say ad hoc that I'll validate it after 2 years. Have you validated that the 2 years that you have assigned to it is valid? No. These are certain nuances where we get caught into when regulatory agencies come forward. So we have to be very, very careful when you are drawing up a validation protocol, a validation schedule, and a full-fledged validation requirements. Coming next to project management. This again is a very, very niche area. Along with our pharmacy background, if we can get some additional inputs into project management would be really very helpful. Some colleges have started putting it in place and they are training their students even for project management. What industry has always felt is as and when a project is assigned to an academic institution, it never gets completed on time. There's always a delay. There are always reasons. There are always inputs required. And this frustrates the industry. And that's where some gap starts being put in and the industry starts backing out. We need to avoid that. Once we have taken on a project and we have been assigned certain project timelines, be sure that you are getting two different project plans. One project plan, plan A, and an immediate backup project plan as plan B. I'm sorry, I'm not sure why my slides are moving on their own. As a plan B, just in case plan A does not succeed. This is how one needs to move for project management. Communication, yes, earlier I used to feel communication is a slightly weaker point, but today when I am attending the presentations of students, today when I'm seeing the poster presentations, students are so confident in their oral communication. They're so confident in their responses to our questions that yes, communication, we have come out of them a bit and we are having good communicators, but still I think written communication is a bit of a problem. We need to just have some more brushing up on the written communication. Exposure to things like Pharma 4, artificial intelligence, machine learning, automation. This once again, I think is a lacuna and the industry expects that students are aware to a certain extent on all these newer and newer inputs which are coming in pharma industry. Coming to data analytics, I mentioned earlier that data was just being collected and retained. That's not enough. Currently, the need for data analytics has been felt, where once again we heard earlier, the data needs to be converted into information and information into knowledge. And knowledge then can be utilized for further development, further research, product improvement, process improvement. You can even go to the extent of yield improvement, reduction in the cost of manufacture. There are so many opportunities looking at data analytics. Believe me, I mean, we have been able to do even a reduction in our losses by just improving the yield of the product. Through what? Through the data analytics that we carried out for past 20 batches. We just found out where we were losing, why we were losing, and accordingly put in certain measures in place, which jacked up the yield from 92% to 98%. Imagine 6% of the batch coming to you free of cost. This is where it really helps. And when you present this data to regulatory agencies, even they are happy. Why? Because when regulatory agencies come in for audit, they expect you to present some improvement in your product and process quality. And if you show that this is the improvement that I have made, which has allowed me to increase my yield, you'll definitely be able to earn some brownie points from them, and your audit will go a bit lenient. Statistics once again was touched upon in the previous session. It's very, very important that you don't just present your data in numerical form, but apply some statistics to it, apply regression curves, apply to them, averaging out, not just averaging out, but even deviations included, and you will have a better data that you can present. So statistics, once again, is very important for presentation of your data. And finally, the IP, the intellectual property. I'm not sure to what extent IP is being covered in your graduation, postgraduate courses, but even to just simple aspects of IP, that if you have some intellectual property which could be patented, is patentable, what you need to do upfront is very, very important. That just write down in your notebooks that this is an idea you had, you have discovered under these thought processes. This is what you are planning to do further. Please sign it and date it as of that date. Why this is required? This is required to claim priority if someone challenges you, and get one more person as a supervisor or your professor to countersign it. This is a must. Beyond that, how IPs are being treated, how you file for patents, and how then patents responses are to be given is once again a very, very long and a big story. But at least on the initial startup front, please see to it that this is being done so that you don't lose up on your IP possibility. And what industry wants is, whatever we do, all those expenditures need to generate some income. I do remember anytime I would go with a proposal, the question would be, what is the return and how much time will it take to get back the returns? Even to the extent of simply putting in place a QMS software, they will ask for what is the return on that investment. So this particular mindset has to come even in the lives of the students. If parents are investing in their studies, they are shelling out for their studies, for their graduation, post-graduation, even they need to know that what will they be able to give back to their parents on the return on their investment they are making in them. So this is very, very important. Now we discussed so many gaps or so many expectations from industry. I would feel I'm not doing my right duty if I don't discuss with you how we can bridge this gap. On certain gaps, I did immediately even give out the possibilities of how they can be bridged. But coming to this particular slide, it's very important that both industry and academia come up together and identify what are the gaps upfront and come away with a workaround solution. We have a combination of instruction-based learning, which the college is normally giving, and a case study-based learning approach. It's at least, I mean, I'm not sure whether you all will agree or not, but with me, any studies which I have done and certain case studies have been provided along with that study, that particular aspect sticks into my mind. And I'm able to recall it every time I'm thinking about that particular issue. So doing it on a case study based approach is really very interesting way of studying. And what academia can do is once again invite people from industry, invite people from not just pharma industry, from allied industry, invite manufacturers of equipment to come and give a talk, as in when suppose you are teaching tableting, they can come and give a talk on tablet machine. And they can share with the students pictorially through a video, or even inviting them and get them to actually see the equipment, work on the equipment. This way of learning, I think, is the best way of learning that students can have. Because I'm sure even when you go to MPharm, how many times do you get to handle a compression machine? Even when you go to industry for maybe a summer training, how much time do you get to spend on these machines? So having a complete videographic presentation, a pictorial presentation would really help in the students studying exactly what the industry is expecting. Then if you are getting into research, then alignment is research interests of academics and industry. There are opportunities where we can really produce good research, and that particular academic research should be such that it can assist the industry. I'm sorry to say, but currently many a times when I'm discussing with various professors on what projects they are working on, they are basically projects which are of their interest into commercialization. I think we need to change the mindset of it. We need to look out on what's happening in industry, which patents are expiring, where can we put in additional work and do something different on a particular molecule. On all these things, some background research, once it's done and you feel that it can be translated into commercialization, this is the type of research industry would expect academia to take over. If you are not able to do it yourself, maybe you can take help from or talk to people who are in research in industry and check with them what is the latest in industry research trend and pick it up and take those research forward. Currently, everyone is talking of biologics. Currently, everyone wants to be in biogenerics. Currently, all are mostly into biologics. This is the research which is right now going on. And because of the pandemic, we must have seen that why it was possible to come up with a vaccine so fast. It was only because of artificial intelligence, where data from all the prior research was picked up, was analyzed, and from that data, they came up with the best possible structure of the vaccine, which will help to kill the COVID-19 virus. So this was the basis. So the actually arriving at the vaccine was much easier, much faster. But to develop it and further scale it up to commercial scale levels, that is what I'm told or I'm read is took maximum time. So it's not just enough to find out what actual research you want to get into, but that research which you are taking up should be able to commercialize, and you can commercialize only and only if you can scale it up, right? So there are many times when industry also fails to understand how academic research is undertaken. So this was the reason why I said I started talking to most of the professors, and these were the answers which I got, that this is what I have been working on. My previous student worked on this. This student is carrying forward that same research. And then the third student will take it to completion. And the fourth student will do something very similar to that, but maybe with a different drug, the platform remains the same. Not that way. The fourth student should be onto something new, something totally different, and something that the industry wants. Similarly, there would be times when academia will fail to understand how industrial research functions. Next point, very, very important, scale up and operational feasibility should be ensured for whatever research projects we take up in academia if your final target is commercialization. In industrial research, it's not enough for me to develop a product and be ready and give it to the company. Say, look here, I've developed this product. My main success is when I scale it up and when it touches the market. That's the time my research would have borne fruits. And that is when you will get acknowledged for all your efforts that you had put in maybe 3, 4, 5 years back. So this is how things work in industry. And this is where I think there has to be a proper understanding between industry and academia. Once again, the analytical requirements most of the times are being missed out. I have taken quite a few projects from academia and reviewed them for commercial feasibility. And when we check that, okay, fine, this project is done, this formulation looks good, how was it analyzed? Analytical methods not adequately validated, analytical methods not detecting impurities, analytical methods which are not stability indicating, and dissolution methods, just simple dissolution methods. That's not enough. The dissolution method that we develop and establish have to be indicative of what's happening in vivo, that is within the body. Only then will you have a very good in vitro, in vivo correlation. So the dissolution media that we try and develop and use should mimic your gastrointestinal sojourn throughout the gastrointestinal tract. This is what is expected by industry, and this really gets missed out in academia. So what happens? You can tie up a bit earlier, because I'm sure that if the analytical method is HPLC or HPPLC or high performance chromatography or ultra UPLC, ultra high performance chromatography, colleges may not have that infrastructure. They do simple UV testing. Industry will not accept. Tie up with the industry upfront at that stage itself. Look here, I have this product I'm doing by UV analysis. Maybe it could be of use to you. You can support on HPLC and we can take this project forward. That would be a right approach, the right way to take forward. And the next point, the clinical needs. Can the college manage those clinical needs? Many a times, yes, there are some institutions who can definitely take care of the clinical requirements, the preclinical studies, the animal studies. But when it comes to humans, please tie up with industry, go back to industry, and they will definitely be able to take it forward for you. Another point, building in the culture of quality right from the academic years. It's very, very sad to hear from our inspectors who come for audit. US FDA does not call their auditors, they call them inspectors. So it's very sad to hear from them. India is very poor on culture of quality. It's so heartbreaking. India, which has such a high culture, why are we poor on culture of quality? Why don't we do the right thing when no one is watching? This is something which we have to build into our students upfront. Do the right thing when no one is watching. Here, we do the right thing only when we are being policed. That's what they tell us, that just because we are coming for audit, you are doing the right thing. Left to your own, you would not have done all these things. Would we have done all these things that I'm talking about? Would we have validated? We would never, believe me, in India, we were never used to validations. Validations is something which has come in, I would say, just 10, 12 years back. Whereas I had the opportunity of starting my career with Merck Sharp and Dohme. They had this culture 35 years back. We were asked to validate each and everything. And there we used to grumble and feel frustrated. Why are they asking us to create these documents when no one else is doing it? And this training comes in handy today when it's being imposed upon us to do it, you know? So this is the culture that they are talking about, that do the right thing even when no one is watching. and the right thing is following the complete guidelines as per my next point. They could be current and good manufacturing practices or clinical practices or laboratory practices. GDP currently stands for good distribution practices, good documentation practices, and even following something like ICH guidelines, etc. So whether someone is watching over us or not, we are required to follow all these guidelines so that our patient is benefited. Friends, we are treating not healthy human beings. We are treating patients. We have to keep that in mind. We are making medicines for a person who is sick, and we cannot afford to help him further sicken. He has to just improve his health and come out of his sickness when he takes our medicine, and that can be done only and only if we are giving him quality products. So this is where it's not just testing the end product quality, but it is a complete practice of all these requirements through a culture of quality, which academia should build in upfront. Next point is on observations and evidences is what industry always asks for. Many a times we have out of trend results in the lab. Out of trend results meaning continuously you have been getting 99.7, 99.8% analysis of a particular API. Suddenly you go to 98 and your limit is 98 to 102. You are expected to investigate the 98 result because it is out of your trend of 99.x. Do we do it? No, we don't. 98 is passing the specifications. Why should we? No, it's a requirement. You have to investigate why this was out of trend. Was it because of some analytical error, or is really the API quality tending towards 98, meaning a little bit of error here and there, it would have failed. This is what is required. Any out of trend results, investigate. Out of specification is a long exercise. If you have any result falling out of specification, what we used to do earlier, test once again. Second result passes, you say your batch passes. Sorry. If your second result is passing, you have to investigate why the first result has failed. You have to do more exercises. You have to collect additional sample, test those. You have to change the hand of the analyst, test once again. You have to collect all the results before you can decide whether that particular one result which fell out of specification, the batch can be released or not. Now, what normally analysts do, we got out of specification, either not report that, test once again, see it is passing, go ahead and release the batch, or take one more sample, test it, analyze it, these two are passing, yes, I will release the batch. But that's not on. There is a complete procedure how out of specification results need to be treated. Never mind the batch is kept on hold till the complete exercise is completed, but never to release a batch where even one result has gone out of specifications. Raising of Kappas. Kappas are corrective and preventive action. If anything goes wrong, like say you have an out of specification result, you need to raise a Kappa, corrective and preventive action, wherein some corrective action you will take immediately, but you have to propose a preventive action which will prevent this particular occurrence from happening again. And not just that, people stop at that. Yes, I have put in a preventive action, I've seen to it, it won't happen again. But you have to wait for that particular time period and check whether that preventive action is really good enough to prevent any further problems occurring on the same kappa. This is something, again, we normally tend to miss out. We do not revalidate our preventive action taken. This is something that needs to be put in place. Warning letters are being issued to companies left, right, and center, whereby which like they work under an exact supervision of the investigating agencies, or import alerts are being put on them where the importing country will stop taking any products manufactured by that company. So if you do not have all these things in place, there are chances you may be stopped from exporting to the country whose investigators have come and investigated your quality management systems. So this is something which I think is not being covered in academia, which industry expects that at least to a certain extent, these things are taken up in colleges and the students are made aware and they can talk about them as and when they come for interviews. They're not totally blank when they are being questioned on OTs, OS, what is Kappa, what is warning letter, what is import alert. So they are aware, not just from that awareness point of view, even while we are reading news, we are reading about companies being put under import alert. So they should know what an import alert is. Being in the pharma field, someone can question them. Hey, you are in pharma, now tell me why Dr. Reddy's is under import alert. You should have an answer to that. So this is where we are coming from, that if students can know about all these things, it would be really a good thing to have. Integrity and systems proficiency on documentation, storage, and retrieval. I did mention that currently we are in a better state because we have this e-documentation in practice and we have cloud to back up our storage. Is that enough? We have to even have a proper retrieval system. As and when previously we had hard copies of the data, during an audit, the data is asked for, we go run around, go to our what you can say storage box, remove the file, open it up and show it to the auditor or investigator or inspector, and they will check the data and that's done. What about e-data? It's in the cloud. Suppose if you try to retrieve it and you are not able to withdraw at that particular time, what will you do? There will be so much tension around. You have to avoid that. And in your documentation SOP, you have to specify that at every 6 months interval, you will check for the retrievability of the data that you put in the cloud. So you can ask for any document and you should be able to download it in the format in which you have uploaded. This has to be done every 6 months. That's what time period we had set for ourselves. Not just that, you have to validate that 6 months. That 6 months is okay for me to retrieve the data and test it out. If on a continuous basis for 2 years, 3 years, you find that 6 months is okay, maybe you can extend it to 9 months to 1 year and start your retrieval exercise all over again and validate the time period, right? So this is what we say, that you can't just change the time frame that you have set initially for yourself. Initially, always you have to be stricter, but you can then further extend it only if your data allows, right? Then QBD and DOE requirements should be there throughout, not just the development part, but I said throughout the, and I have left it blank, throughout the complete product life cycle. That means DOE for development, QBD for method development, QBD for clinical studies, QBD for protocol development, QBD for process development for each and every stage of the process. Like for, if it's a tablet, for granulation stage, QBD, for compression stage, QBD, for coating stage, QBD, for each and every stage throughout the life cycle of the project. You have to do it on a quality by design approach. It's very, very simple. The nomenclatures may be like hi-fi, but it's just common sense. If you have sufficient knowledge about the step or the stage that you are evaluating, and you have sufficient information about the quality that you are expecting, it's a very easy thing to be done. Effective regulatory submissions, communication with the regulatory authorities and within the organizations via real world case examples, and training for submission of annual updates. Here it's coming. It's not just initial regulatory submissions is done with, but again, like regulatory authorities, you have to have a dialogue with them because they'll come back with queries. Some may be written, some may be oral. And then once you submit a response to them, be sure that you discuss the response first with them and then submit so that they are happy with the response. And in one go, you will get the approval. Many a times, like, especially I've seen in India, we are very shy of interacting with regulatory agencies. Why? They are people like us. If you are not sure of anything, feel open, feel free to call them up, talk to them. They're really nice people. They will guide you. And once you have followed their guidance and responded accordingly, your approval is imminent. Otherwise, there sometimes could be a misunderstanding. He may ask for X and you may give Y. So he's not happy with your response. And then again, he'll come back saying, oh, but I had asked for a Y, X, and X is not clearly defined, and you have given me something different. So can you respond again? So again, 3 to 6 months time is gone. So this is something which we need to build into ourselves. The communication part with the regulatory authorities. We should feel free to communicate with the regulatory authorities. Our one case in example, we were trying to submit in Europe a biogeneric product. We did a full-fledged clinical trial, and when we went ahead and submitted to them, they said, oh, this clinical trial protocol was never discussed with us. We said, yeah, but we felt that we have done the right thing, we have got the right protocol, and we go ahead and done it. They said, sorry, all immunogenicity studies are missing. And this is what we expect. Now, nowhere was it defined that immunogenicity study is a part of the protocol which is required for clinical studies of biogenetics. We learned it such a hard way. But if we would have gone and voluntarily discussed the protocol with them, they would have told us, please add immunogenicity study, and we could have got it and done it in one go. See the amount of time, effort, money that we wasted by not going to them and discussing with them. So this is what we are talking about. Coming to the next point, which is on pharmacovigilance. I'm not sure whether pharmacovigilance is a part of the curricula, but just a brief exposure to what is pharmacovigilance, what is expected of them when they get into pharmacovigilance, which is very helpful and will generate their interest in this particular activity, because I feel pharmacy students are the best people to get into pharmacovigilance. It's a big area, and a big demand has suddenly come into India because most of the brand companies are setting up their pharmacovigilance centers in India, either themselves or through other IT companies like TCS, Cognizant. They are handling pharmacovigilance for quite a few pharma companies. Novartis, Pfizer have set up themselves. My own company, Apotex, we set it up ourselves. Huge department. And since we don't get pharmacy graduates, whom do we appoint? We have some dentistry students. We have students who have done in Ayurveda, PMS. There are some MBBS also who don't want to practice or don't want to actually get into medicine coming into pharmacovigilance. Why not the pharma guys themselves? Please give them some exposure to pharmacovigilance, whereby which they get interested in this area and come into the foray. And last is professional development. I always say that BPharm is not enough. If you do not want to go in for masters, please encourage them to do some additional courses. Maybe some management, something in pharmacovigilance, something in quality assurance and regulatory affairs, whichever area is their area of interest. And currently, I'm also pressing students to get into intellectual property. They can, because I do believe that pharma students with an LLB or an LLM would be the best for any type of patent-related issues. They would be the best. Today, what is happening is we have all the legal guys available to us, but they don't have a pharma background. We have to teach them the pharma part. But imagine if a pharma person does this as an additional interest and gets into this area, I think he is on the right path. This is one area which is very, very open and available to pharma students. Another thing is data analytics. With artificial intelligence and data analytics and all once again coming into foray, they can do a small course on data analytics and get into this particular area of expertise. They can get get into, do some IT related course and get into computer systems validation, computer software compliance, especially for systems and softwares which are designed for pharma. They are the best people who understand what is required, and they would be the best to help create protocols and execute those protocols of validation and compliance, maybe even whether it's computer systems or software systems. So these are some additional added qualifications which the students can get into, because this is a big gap that the industry is looking for. We are not getting the right type of candidates to handle these type of activities. So with these industries bodies identifying the gaps, we are very obvious to it, but is academia totally made aware of them? They are not. And obviously, I'm very happy that I was invited for this session, so that I'm sorry, I mean, I'm not here to disturb any one of you all or put any of the academia down, but I felt since I have got this opportunity, I should freely share my thoughts. And then we can produce results in the form that can be used by both industry and academia together, like the research reports which come out for academia. If they can be used directly by industry, why not? All the regulatory documents, I can leave it to the academia to completely compile my regulatory submission and give it to me directly. Why not? Why should I sit and do it again? Intellectual property, I already covered that part. It would be so good if like we can collaborate and do all these activities together. Identify issues that sometimes are ahead of what the industry perceives to be important and work towards them. If you have some forethought, if you have some industry, maybe consultant telling you that, look, your industry could be facing this problem 2 years hence, you can be prepared with that and offer to the industry after 2 years when they actually face the problem. So these are the type of things we should have a forethought for. Obtain funding from various sources or outputs can be in two forms. We can have journals or book chapters, which I do see a lot of academics do getting into, and quite a few, I mean, each individual researcher has a lot of publications in all these. Produce and offer industry material first through proof of concept before moving towards the academic version. This is what I was saying, that if you feel that you have an idea and you may yourself not be able to proceed in a proper manner, like you may run into issues when you want to do analytics or clinicals and all, go to industry first with your proof of concept and tie them up. And if they're sponsoring your research, nothing like it. You can do it together with industry support. You will be able to do better research, have better data available to you, and your research then further transforming into commercialization will be an easy path. So what is the way forward? Ascertain the gap, make it more practical, involve industry specialists, should be continuous brainstorming activity and not just a one-time activity that you invited someone from industry. I have seen even this, that first year someone from industry is invited and then suddenly following year the professor starts teaching the same thing themselves. But my dear madam or sir, industry is moving on. So next year, if you invite someone else, that person will be talking much more than what the person who spoke on the previous year did. So just see to it that you keep on inviting different people every time to share and talk about their industrial experiences along. Always insist that please share some case studies. That's a better learning. It should be this is a fast-paced global regulatory scenario where nothing is constant. Every day the regulatory agencies are coming up with a different requirement. Every day the regulations are changing. We find it so difficult to keep up. I don't expect academia to keep up with it. You can always invite someone to come and talk to you about it, right? Companies have a separate team who is just looking at daily basis. What is the update on the regulatory scenario? Daily basis, what is the change in the specification pharmacopoeias are proposing? On daily basis, they are looking for changes in whatever specifications or impurities they are proclaiming. This is happening on a daily basis in industry. We don't expect that from academia. But please feel free to call experts from industry and come and talk to you. And if possible, and I think many colleges have started doing it, like ICT, I'm sure is having it. They include exposure to entrepreneurship. I also heard the word mentorship. Yes, excellent idea. You should also have mentors for your colleges. Coming to industry exposure, internships are there, but most of the times we do see industry is also to be blamed. Industry does not involve the students to that extent when they come for their internships. And I'm also very sorry for that, but many a times the reason given is confidentiality. R&D department, this is confidential. Production department, this is confidential. Poor things I have seen just going around from one department to another, just having a look here and there. No one has any time to entertain them, which is wrong, which is really wrong. So that's where I feel academia should put the responsibility on the industry and give the industry, as per my last sentence, key objectives to be delivered during the internships to the students. And industry will have to do that. Sorry. So this is what I feel, even industry, we have failed in our attempts to groom the students. Industry experienced teachers and professors, I have seen currently many professors who have been to industry and have come back to teaching. They share a lot of experience, but is that enough? That also is not enough, because as I said, I'll repeat myself, industry is moving at a very fast pace. Please, if you can excuse me. So the one sentence which I have highlighted, academia should invite industry professionals with relevant subject knowledge to share their insights. Having incubation centers, especially for research students, is very, very advantageous. And not just that, having an incubation center at your end, you will also invite small industries, small timers who have some research idea, which they can come to your incubation center, try it out, whether it can be commercialized or not. So this again is a very big opportunity for colleges. They can set up an incubation center. And lastly is the nodal agencies, which provide third-party services for simultaneous evaluation of the project and its implementation. We do a lot of work for academia. We see what projects they have and also see which industry would be the most possible company to take it up and commercialize it forward. And we put the two and two together and get the project commercialized by the industry. Industry benefits from the academic patent and the initial research work that has gone on, which industry has not thought of. So these are some activities that can be looked into. Apart from all the other points I have covered over here, these three are more important. Budgeting and financial acumen, this is missing. I'm not sure how this can be brought into. Jugaad and chalta hai mentality, that should be totally wiped off when you are getting into industry. It's not acceptable. And finally, patience. I have seen freshers coming in and within a year, year and a half, 2 years, they get frustrated and they jump. Please give industry time. Industry is investing 6 months to 1 year in your training. Believe me, I'm not sure whether anyone has shared with you all. We spend minimum 6 months to train even a trained chemist to go on our equipments and start independently working. Now, if that guy leaves within next 6 months, where are we? We are losing so much. They need to have patience. They need to stay back. They need to give back to the company, and company will definitely move them forward. That patience and that particular faith and trust has to be there from the students in the organizations wherever they join. Unless and until, of course, like there may be a situation where it's impossible to continue. Yes, I agree. But I have seen employees just changing. I'm getting just for $500 a month additional. They will jump. It's not on. You have joined a particular company because you like the company. They have put in efforts to train you, because many a times even experienced employees, we put them through a training whereby which we have to undo what they were doing earlier in the previous organization, remove all those systems and procedures from their mind and train them on our systems and procedures before we can put them on the job and allow them to move ahead. So coming to, I've always said that we should ask for some case studies being presented. A couple of case studies I have taken up, one for R&D and one for scale-up experiments which we had done with academia. So there should be, first of all, a sound hypothesis in the project proposal. It should be an area of unmet need. And would there be a possibility of an IP? This is what industry looks for. The moment you will tell them that there is a possibility of patenting this, industry will be very happy and they will come and work with you. Can the intellectual property norms or royalty be agreed upon and settled quickly? So don't just give up everything to the industry. Agree upon certain norms that as you commercialize, maybe 5% or 10% of the profit will come back to the college. This will help the institution in building their own infrastructure. Authenticity, reliability, and reproducibility of the data presented. Reproducibility is one very big issue which we find. When we get fantastic project, excellent tablets made, very good data presented on disoprofiling. And when we made the tablets in our lab, in the company, we could not reproduce that data at all. To the extent we invited the student over, you come, you work, you make, we'll observe. Sorry. We went back to the college and asked the student to reproduce in the college itself. Once again, sorry, the data could not be reproduced. And that was a very, very big setback. It was an excellent project and we had to drop it at whatever stage we were. We were almost at preclinical. Excellent novel drug delivery system. It was a controlled release product, but the reproducibility of the diso profile could not be achieved at all. We asked them to go back to the bench, but I think she had to finish her master's and submit a thesis and move ahead. So that student was gone and the next student was not put onto this project. We had whatever we had, we took that and we dumped it. It was not possible to go further. Good predictive preclinical models for the disease under study. This is something which we normally discuss and decide upon. That before rushing into any clinicals, any preclinical models. Currently, we are getting a lot of in silico models available to us. So whether any of those type of models can be used for us to substantiate and to prove the concept which is being offered to us. Confidentiality of the data. This again is a big, big issue with academia. Confidentiality of the data with respect to the students who's working on the project. That particular project goes to company A. If the company absorbs that student as a strategy, fantastic, no issues, but there is a possibility that that student can go to company B and work on the same project. This is a big issue which industry is facing. Research institute to accept the confidentiality agreements and MOU shared by the industry. But who signs this confidentiality agreement? It's always the guide, the research guide, and maybe the principal or the administrator or someone else. It's never the student who's signing the confidentiality agreement. But who works on the project? It's the student who works on the project. So there's a dichotomy over here. The person who is working on the project and having all the confidential information is not signing the agreement. The person who is signing the confidentiality agreement will maintain confidentiality, but is it the confidentiality of the right data that the student is carrying? This is a big question mark. And we have burnt our fingers even on this particular point. On-time project deliverables, I did touch upon it. The projects keep on getting extended. Oh, this happened, then there was Diwali vacation, and then they had their own exams, so it's being postponed by a month. Sorry, industry is not concerned. When you give project timelines, you should keep all these things in mind that you will be having a Diwali break and then a Christmas break, and then there would be exams. So these additional months need to be put in place, and then give the project proposal to the industry. Once it is given, please see to it that you maintain the project timelines. Instrument and equipment many a times are not in a state of calibration in academia. Use the instruments and equipments with the industry and generate the data. That's fine. We invite students to come and do the testing over there. Research should be translated to commercialization. This is a must. If you cannot translate it, it's useless for the industry. Meet all the regulatory compliances that would be required. As I said, we don't expect academia to be aware of all the latest compliances. Be in touch with the industry and take help from them. Data integrity should be assured. No falsification of data should be there. All data should be signed, stamped, dated. And it should be contiguous. Contiguous meaning it should be recorded and reported on the day and the time it is done. Entering it later on, signing it off at a later date for the previous day is not acceptable. And this particular trait should be built into the minds of the students initially itself when they are working in the labs. See to it that the journals are completed contiguously. The student completes the journal contiguously. The professor or the person who is attending to them in the lab signs off contiguously and the matter is closed. Not that the student takes the journal, first writes in rough notebook, then takes the journal home, pairs it up, then brings it next day, then the professor signs. No. This thing was happening even in industry. On the shop floor, the batch sheets were not being filled up contiguously. The pharmacist, the production pharmacist who's there on the shop floor would take the batch sheet to his sitting place or documentation area, fill it up over there after the work has been done. And then the next day, the manager would sign off saying, yes, the work has been done and I've checked it. How? This was picked up by, once again, auditors, investigators on the shop floor when they were taking a round, that there were production documents lying around which were not filled and the activity had moved to the next stage and they had to scrap the whole batch. This is what is required when we call as data integrity and data being contiguous, documents being contiguous as and when the process is being done. And finally, of course, commercial viability. I did not speak much on that. I think I'm taking up too much time. But coming to the next case study, it is a process development part. We had developed a product by exclusion spheronization process. Everything was superb, like we did even the bio studies and bio-relevant media, but we failed on commercial scale-up and validation. So what do? Do we stop here and keep on discarding the project, or we just say, okay, fine, we have failed on this, let's look at something different? We decided, okay, let's look at something different. And since this product was done on QBD approach, the complete equipment that was validated on which the product was done was extrusion spheronization. We got an idea, let's check whether it's possible to scale it up on a fluid bed processor. And we did not have time to do it in our lab. We approached the college who had a lab scale fluid bed processor and we gave them the project. And this was my first experience of an excellent, fantastic academia, in industry interaction, correlation, whatever you may call it. They did the project on time. They gave us excellent results, and we did it within the the excipients that were used for extrusion spheronization. There was not much change. That was the main challenge that we had given them, that we should work within SWPAC guidelines. We explained everything to them and they did it and they gave it to us. Of course, the regulators refused to accept the equivalence because this was a major change from extruder spheronizer to a fluid bed processor. So instead of doing a full-fledged bioequivalence study once again, we did an in silico virtual bioequivalence. They accepted the results and we were good to go. Excellent collaboration. We used complete project management on this particular thing. Both industry and academia sat together, defined the project, defined the timelines, and together we finished the project. And that is why I say academia alone or academia and industry with two different blocks alone cannot achieve this. both have to come together and place a single block in order to achieve this particular type of collaboration. So we need to develop synergies and collaborations and leave all egos behind, whether I'm a professor or a principal or I'm a manager or I'm a GM and I'm the CEO. Sorry, leave all egos behind and work together in tandem. Then and then alone we can achieve this. So we should look for common interests in technology, infrastructure, inform propagation, joint reviews for adequacy of the project, develop joint protocols and approve them together, so that one says this is okay, the other one says no, at a later stage this was not enough, I did not review it. The jugaad and chalta hai mentality should be totally out. Encourage empowerment for any sides to speak up. If anything is going on, both sides have equal empowerment to speak up that, sorry, sir, you are wrong. This is not the way it is. We should go this way. Ensure authenticity and reliability of data. Keep updated on latest regulatory requirements. Check for scalability when you are taking pilot batches. Have a close tracking of the project to ensure the timely completion, and not just timely completion, completion within budget. Because as you extend on the time, the budget also gets extended equally. Employ statistical tools wherever possible for report preparation and sharpen the presentation skills. So these are certain steps, both need to come together and comply to them. So you can use artificial intelligence for fast tracking, big data and data analytics help a lot. You can go directly from bench to bedside, crossing the bridge in a compatible manner. There is also translational research which both can look at together. But this is today's article, and I wanted to put this in front of you all. We are talking on this topic today and see what has happened. In today's Times of India, page 10, we have this article published. And the last part over here is pharma R&D hampered by inadequate inputs from academia. There we go. We are talking on this topic and it's published today. Please do go back and have a look at it. It's an interesting write-up. So thank you very much once again. Hope you all get an opportunity to have a beneficial collaboration with industry. Happy to talk to you. Would always love to keep my India flag flying high. Anytime you want to contact me, these are my coordinates. So thank you very much once again for giving me this opportunity to talk to you.
Thank you, ma'am.
I hope I did not bore you.
No, not at all, ma'am.
Not at all, ma'am.
Not at all. So it was a very brainstorming session, or I must say it is a very relevant with the current scenario. Ma'am, your experience was saying it all. We team ICP extremely thankful to you for such a wonderful thoughts sharing with us. Academics and industry bridging gap. Always we are emphasizing on this bridging gap. Dr. Parisza ma'am not only explained the expectations of industries from the academia, but also deeply discussed what are the possible ways to overcome the gap. Ma'am, with your valuable inputs, the academicians we are present here, surely it will helpful for us to educate our students industry ready. On behalf of team ICP, I would like to felicitate Dr. Parisza ma'am.
Wow. Thank you so much. So lovely.
Ma'am, with your permission, I would like to move to question answer session.
Yeah, sure.
Delegates, the question answer session is open. You can unmute yourself.
Can you share your email ID?
Okay, all the questions you share on the ID.
Yeah, I'll share.
Ma'am, it was a very fantastic session and we had a great insights about actually how the academic standards also need to be updated and upgraded. and it's really a wonderful session from your side. Thank you so much, ma'am. I have one, rather it's not a question, but it's some of a challenge which we are facing at the academic side also. Most of the times what happens is that now the pharma students are always comparing themselves with the IT guys or the engineering students who are passing. The initial joining package, whatever is offered by the pharma industry, is comparatively less as compared to the IT and other sectors. So how this gap can be bridged? Because the pharma companies are not ready to shell out that much amount to the initial beginners. Later on, they are going to be at par with their peers and everything is matched. But this is a thing which is demotivating the pharma students to get into the core pharma. So how do we handle this, man?
See, that's where I was saying that this graduating in pharma is not adequate. They need to do something additional. So if they just doing an additional maybe course on regulatory affairs, any IT company will pick them up in their RA department. But you ask for a B.Pharm student and go and stand there for an interview, they will feel, yes, I have to train this guy, so they'll offer them less. And at the same time, he won't stand at par with the person who's come along with some additional diploma or certificate course. They can do it along when they're in third year or fourth year. Along with that, they can do. And I'm not sure I agree when you say that they're drawing less, because I've seen even engineering students complaining. It's a demand and supply situation. Even engineering students of late are complaining that the salary structure is very poor. Yes, of course, there are some who from IITs and all who really get a very good package, but we can't compare against those. But students from regular engineering colleges, they have been complaining that the salary structures are poor because there's so many students coming out. Even pharmacy, you have to, what I say, distinguish yourself from others. You have to set yourself apart. In order to do that, you have to do something different. If you see, even in my case, I mean, I have done a diploma in computer science. People at that 35, 36 years back were calling me crazy.
Right.
That you're a pharmacy person and you're doing, why you're doing diploma in computer science? Now, I did it because suddenly I saw an HPLC in front of me, which was totally computerized. And I didn't know how to handle it. I was scared to even punch the buttons. So once you have that type of a background, a little bit differentiating yourself, and I think sky is the limit. Even students, while they're doing B.Pharm, if they do some course in IT, they'll get a huge break. That particular trend is required. That particular trait is required. So let them evaluate the marketplace and see where maximum. That's why I even talked of pharmacovigilance. These are the areas which are developing, and because our own pharma students are not going into quality control, quality assurance, we see pure science graduates getting into that.
Right. Thank you, ma'am. Thanks a lot.
Welcome.
Hello, ma'am. Nice to
Hi.
see you here. Yeah, thanks a lot for accepting our invitation. And as usual, it was a fantastic session, an eye-opener. But yes, we need to come together and work. That's the way, and we really need to work a lot on our students as well. As in, we really need to train them well.
Yes.
And then only we can see the gap being bridged. Probably,
Right. See, the key is look for some project where industry would be interested, and tie up with the right company. And moving forward, that company will start helping you in other aspects as well. They'll help you in analytics, they'll help you in regulatory affairs, they'll help you in IP, They'll put their own team. Array, this college is working with us, just help them on their IP, they have this issue. Array, allow their student to do analysis,
Right.
They don't have it. That way. That's how build a relationship with a company which is closest to your institute, wherever you are located. And build a relation and go ahead.
Yes, ma'am. Sure.
Thank you, ma'am. It was indeed an excellent session. And yes, we have started working towards it. And let us see how we can further the interaction with industry. But yes, with your guidance, we have really started towards it. That's what I can say. And yes, looking forward to achieve much more with your presence.
Yeah, sure. Wish you all the
I
best.
actually, ma'am, we need your support as well, as in for our MFAM QA and all. I think, in fact, we would like to call you here in person.
Yes,
To
absolutely right.
discuss the projects as to what kind of QA, because we've got MFAM QA now. And with your guidance, I think if they are doing some good, sensible and industry relevant projects, that will be really useful.
Sure.